Hello Alturk, hope you're doing good. We'll start in 1 minute. Let's wait for members to join and we will do it. As usual, we'll start with DXY, US 500, USDT dominance to feed the overall market, and then we'll dive into other altcoins. Of course, we will also go over the ones that you requested last week. And as usual, we'll start with DXY and US 500, second phase for dominance to feed the overall market, and then we're going to go over the other altcoins. Of course, we'll also go over the ones that you requested tips last week. And as usual, we'll start with DXY and US 500, second phase for dominance. As usual, the practical examples, I've prepared a couple of ones. For example, we've got XRP, RVN, BNB, OP, and so on. So let's wait for 1 more minute and we will get started. Hello Mark, hope you're doing good. Okay, let's do it. Here we go. We always start from US 500 to feed the overall market because lately, or like in general, at least for now, right, the crypto market is correlated with the stock market. That's why I keep an eye on US 500, and we can clearly see from last week that we were here and we were trying to break the support downwards. And we mentioned that if we break it down, we'll be expecting further bearish movement inside this big holding broadening wedge to around the lower bound of it, lining up with this 3.3K and 3.4K demand zone, and also the previous all-time high from 2020. Right, unless of course, here we go. If you zoom into H4 time frame, we were here, I guess, right here, that we'll need another daily candle close for the bears to take over, unless the bulls reclaim the support by breaking back above the last major high. So we were bearish, low lows, lower highs, low lows, lower highs, right? So a typical bearish trend, but now we had this major high broken upwards, so now we've got a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish, and that's our first impulse movement responsible of the shift, right? So now we are bullish and we're expecting a correction, impulse movement, and so on. And to get an idea about what to expect on how bullish will be expected, of course, unless it gets lower and break this back down, and it would be a fake out. Okay, but for now things are looking good. We broke above the previous major high, and if we zoom a little bit out, let me show to you from daily time frame. You know what, let me zoom in. Here we go. So we were bearish, we broke above the previous major high, we traded higher till where? To the previous supply zone. We filled it and we had an aggressive movement downward. So a very, very similar scenario is happening now. We were bearish, so bearish, lower lows, lower highs. And in fact, if you want, you can also like check the entire trend before it. So big impulse, correction, big impulse, and flat. So that's exactly it. Big impulse first, correction second, third big impulse, here we go, and then flat, flat. That's it. So the exact same movement happened. And then what happened is we broke above this high. That's it. Broke above it, traded higher, filled the previous supply, trade higher, filled the previous supply, which happens to be also a resistance, support and resistance now. So we're expecting a movement till here before the next bearish movement start. And if you want also, you can also draw a trend line here. Let me remove these ones. Here we go. All right, so that's it. So this is indeed a massive zone, a support turned to a resistance, a supply zone, which you can see here, also lining up with the trend line. So as price approaches this area, we'll be expecting another bearish movement there. For now, let's read everything to keep it as clean as possible. And long story short, boost took over. Now we're expecting a bullish movement. You can see it even better from a H1 time frame, a channel broken upward, and so on. So that's it for US 500. If you want, in short, we are bullish, expecting a movement till this area that I just explained from daily time frame or H4, or unless we are currently in a correction phase after this big bullish impulse, because like you know that nothing can trade like in the same direction forever. We should get a healthy correction before we trade higher again and again. So now we might get into a correction like this before the next bullish impulse movement start, or if we trade higher and break above this high, then we'll be expecting that this is the correction is done now, which would be a small one, and which means that the bulls are very, very strong, not even letting the bears make a big correction. Okay, so these are the possible scenarios, but what we know is that we are currently bullish. Next, let's feel the XY USD index, right? And we always keep an eye on USD index to feel what's going on, because like usually, like we always go for Bitcoin slash what? Slash USD. Like we don't go for Bitcoin slash Euro or AUD or GBP. Okay. So this is why you keep an eye on the XY. And okay, this stream bot. Hello everyone. Fantastic. Is it live on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere else? Yes, DJ. Hello, Ace. Hope you're doing good. We've got many members. Let me say hi before we start the XY. Joseph, hope you're doing good. We'll go over Galatasaray in a bit, as you can clearly see here. Okay, we also got MC and Sonjak. Hope you're doing good. Okay, let's check out the XY. So for those who were here last week and remember that we know that the bears took over already by breaking below this major low, which you can see even better from H1 time frame. We broke it downward and the bearish trend started. We were previously bullish after being above this high, impulse correction, and here we go, an impulse making a higher high, but look at this, a higher high, but look at this impulse, a big one, and then a correction, and then a higher high. Look at this impulse. So if we compare these two highs, right, to this last high, we know that the bulls are exhausted and failing to make a bigger high as previously, which is of course an early alert that a potential reversal might happen. Of course, for the bears to proof control, we need to see a break below the previous major low, which was here, which also happens to be this entire thing or reversal happens to be around the upper bound of this rising broadening wedge. Okay, so like it makes total sense that we are rejecting the previous high, trading lower, and so on. So now, last week we broke this classic correction, impulse. We are currently in this correction, and why we had this movement here, because we had previously this trend line that and also the 110. The 110 is basically a demand zone right here, and also it's the previous major high, impulse correction, making this high right here before making another higher high. So this area, that's why we marked this area last week, that it might be a potential support zone that might hold the price and push it up. Okay, so now for the bears to remain in control and for the XY to keep on trading lower, we need to see a break below this 10. Okay, if we now we get this impulse breaking below the 10, okay, of course the 110, in this case we'll be speculating a correction and then diving lower till the lower bound of this rising broadening wedge, which we saw from daily. So we are currently midway, right, between these two. We are currently here. So if we break it down, we'll be expecting further bearish movement for the XY, which would be healthy for the stock market, the crypto market, and so on. Okay, and now we might even trade a little bit higher before we trade lower. It would be a big impulse correction for the next impulse movement to break below this one, and even we'll be expecting further bearish movements. Okay, on lower time frame, of course, you can even zoom in and in. We have a small inverse head and shoulders, got broken upward, traded higher, but we are still bearish. Look at these impulse movements, correction, impulse, correction. Look at this impulse. And so we are currently, as long as we don't make a higher high and keep on making a lower high, we would be bearish. So now we'll be expecting this movement to push the price. Sorry. To push the price lower, and as we trade higher, as mentioned previously, we'll be looking for reversal setups around this area. So now let's get into crypto, right? So finally, okay, so now we felt the market, we know where we currently are. US 500 rejected the support, the XY rejected the resistance. We are now like things are looking good. On US TT dominance also, it happens that you are rejecting this resistance, but we are still stuck inside this little range, right? Which we can see from the H4 time frame even better. That's the entire rectangle, that's the entire range. So we have been trading inside it, the exact same thing as Bitcoin, up, down, right? So we would like to see a break above it or below it, like for the market to choose one direction. And like, of course, we are hoping that the breakout would be lower, because like we want USD dominance to trade lower for other like altcoins or crypto market to trade higher. So like we want like people to sell their USDT or use their USDT to buy Bitcoin and like any crypto, right? So we want the exposure of USDT to get lower. Okay, so if we break below the support, this is a very clean support and resistance zone. As you clearly see, it has been respected multiple times previously, and now a support area, as you clearly see. So we might still reject it and trade higher from here. So we would like to see a break below it. In this case, we'll be expecting further bearish movements till this support and resistance. Here we go. Okay, so multiple rejections from it as well. Okay, so if this happens, it would be what? It would be Bitcoin breaking above this little range. Here we go. Oops. Okay, so like as you can see, like I don't update my charts except during the sessions. So it would be a good practical example. So last week we were here exactly, and we were waiting for this to happen. That's why it's still here. Okay, so like I have a separate layout for these sessions called Newscrypto, and I only updated during the sessions. So let's move it aside now. Here we go. Okay. So if we break this one upward, it would be USDT dominance breaking below this entire support zone. And okay, as mentioned, we will be expecting further bearish movement to this lower bound. Okay, and on Bitcoin, we'll be expecting a bullish movement till this upper bound. Here we go. Okay, break this area here, which is a massive supply zone, and so on. Anyway, we will see it better, but for now, let's stick to USDT dominance. Okay, so I don't want only a break below this low here, but I want a break below the entire support as mentioned from there, like this. Okay, because it would also be breaking below this channel, which is in orange. So impulse, correction, impulse. We are now in a flat correction, so we might still go like this and trade higher from here, and even break this one upward, and so on. Okay, so to invalidate this entire bullish trend, and for the bears to truly take over and expect a long term or like a medium term, okay, a bullish movement in the crypto market, we need to see this break, okay, below this support and below this orange trend line. Meanwhile, the boost can still kick in, and we can still trade higher if we zoom into H1 time frame. If we see any kind of reversal, for example, here, and break it upward, we'll be expecting a bearish reversal in the crypto market. Now, let's go for Bitcoin, right? Finally. So we are still struggling here around this 20K, 18K support, demand zone, and so on. So like for those who watched the previous ones, I already know the entire story. You know what? Let me check the comments real quick before I continue. Um, okay, Sustain Empire, Sonjak, hope you're doing good, guys. Yeah, so all channels at once. Yeah, fantastic, Mark. Exactly, DJ. We have the original cast here. Okay, so let's continue with Bitcoin. Okay, so we have been trading inside this range, and like you've got the idea. We have our upper bound midway, which is this minor support resistance, the exact opposite one that we saw on USD dominance. We have the lower bound, the price rejected previously, right? So now, if we break above this, okay, this is daily, but you can see it better from H4, and if you want, I can add it to see it from daily. So that's it. If you break this area from daily, right, we'll be expecting further bullish movement till this supply zone right here. Meanwhile, just like USDT dominance, we can still reject the minor resistance, just like USDT dominance can still reject the minor support, right? Anyway, I zoom in a bit to know what if or how do we know that it would be rejected. From H4 time frame, we have been trading inside this range, but we knew that the bulls are getting stronger and stronger because we could draw this one. And here we go, we are trading inside like this. Okay, so the upper one is flat, horizontal, while the lower one is rising, which means that yes, we are in a range, but bit after bit, the buyers are taking over because usually in a typical range, we'll have like this, a horizontal one, upper and downward. But what if we'll get this? Right? It means that the sellers are pushing, but the bulls are pushing even stronger because they are not letting the sellers make an equal low. Instead, it's resulting in a higher low. Okay, so that's why you feel like the market like more and like you try to speculate what happens before it happens. But of course, we don't predict. You always wait for the market to make the first move. So, for example, here, like even we know that the bulls are getting stronger, but the confirmation would be by breaking above it, okay? Because price can still do like this and break it downward before trading higher, or even break the 18K and trade lower, okay? So, like just to feel the market and know what to expect, okay? So that's basically it. I already have my alert right here, as you can see, just above this wick here. And if you break above it from H4, or even better from daily, or the daily candle closes actually above the zone in a full manner, like not just like a wick like this, for example. In this case, we'll be speculating a bullish movement till the supply till around 22.5K. Now, if you zoom into lower time frames, we know that previously the bulls, here we go, took over by breaking above this one. We traded higher. Now, let's update or like follow the same logic. Let's go and put this one here. Okay, so now if the bears manage to trade lower and break below it, the bears will take over from a short-term perspective. You know what? These ones are annoying. Let's delete them. Yeah, here we go. I want to see it only on H4 time frame. Okay. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, that's it. So if the bears manage to trade lower, we would have a head and shoulders pattern. In this case, if we break it down, we will be expecting a short-term bearish movement till this trend line because it has been holding the price upward, as I showed you, from H4 time frame. And later on, of course, if we trade lower and form this, for example, if we break it down, we will be expecting further bearish movement inside the 18K support zone. And later on, if we break it down, we will be expecting further bearish movements. Okay, so like this is for the bearish scenario. It has to be in 3 steps. So first, short term, then medium term. So short term, medium term, and then this is it. Okay, like for the long term perspective. Of course, price can they take over short term, but then reverse and break higher, or can take over short term, medium term, and then reverse from here. Okay, so let's take it step by step. We don't predict, we react. Okay. Meanwhile, we are currently here. We are waiting for this break upwards. Okay, on Ethereum, very similar, like a very similar scenario. However, like I don't really like this resistance zone right here. We are staying inside this range, upward and downward, and so on. And from daily time frame, this is it. Midway support, multiple rejections here, rejecting it now. So for the bulls to take over here, we need to see not only a break above this, but also a break above this trend line. Then the bulls will take over and we'll be expecting further bullish movement. But because for now, if we break above this, trade higher, we'll face this resistance and the upper trend line in purple, showing us the overall bias. And we are clearly bearish, right? So impulse, correction, impulse. This might be just a correction before the next impulse push the price lower to the 1K, which is also the lower trend line in brown. Sorry, in purple. Okay. However, we know that from a short-term perspective, just like previously, here we go. We know that the bulls already took over, minus support and resistance, support here, resistance here, broken upward, support now, and rejected it even now. Okay, that's basically it. So we are currently trading just like what we saw from daily. So resistance, midway, support. Inside this area, we've got a resistance, support, and midway as well. Okay, we are trading inside this range. Let's see which way it's going to be broken. If it's broken upward, again and again, as I mentioned, would face this resistance. So for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above it. Vice versa, if we break below the support zone here, we'll be expecting a bearish movement till the 1K, as I showed you from daily. We can even draw a trend line here. So that's it. If you break it downward, well, it would be a continuation. That's it. Impulse correction in the shape of a channel or rectangle, and then that's it. Okay, let's move forward to NWC. Okay. On NWC, we rejected this resistance zone previously, which is the 0.16 to 0.2. Let me zoom out and show it to you better. That's it. Support and demand rejected previously here and then broken downward, and we are now retesting this area. And like for those who have been watching like this one previously, watching like these episodes every single Wednesday, know that starting from here, we expected that we might form one more last impulse movement downward before we trade higher, because usually inside a channel we'll get 3 impulse movements, 3 touches before it is broken upwards. Okay, so we're expecting that we might have 1, 2, and the third one here to happen before the bulls take over long term. From a long term perspective, okay, so like this already happened, so now this trend line is valid, this channel is valid. So for the bulls to take over, I still like to see a break above this resistance here, above 0.2. If this happens, then you will be expecting a long-term bullish movement. This would be a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish, and we'll be expecting now a bullish trend. But let's take it step by step, right? We are currently retesting this area, this entire support zone. We've got a demand zone, which is also what? This high, broken upward, now acting as a potential short-term or minor support, lining up with this demand. It's a demand because inside this big aggressive movement upward, that's the only bearish candle, right? So this is a massive demand, and as you can see, price rejected it previously. This is annoying. Let's move it aside. Here we go. If you zoom in lower to H4 time frame, if you remember previously, as I mentioned, if we break this one downward, we'll be expecting a bearish movement. So we broke it downward, retest, we traded lower again. We even rejected this demand previously, then broke it downward, and now rejected this demand zone here, traded higher, and now we're rejecting what? This previous demand turned into a support. So demand turned support, and then broken downward, and now turned what? Resistance. Exactly. Okay, and the exact same logic. First swing, second swing, third swing is now forming. Okay, so now this one is valid, and we want to break above it like this. In this case, we'll be expecting a bullish movement till the 0.16, 0.2. And here, like we'll watch price action. If we get this, then we're expecting a bearish movement. If we get this, then this bullish, short-term bullish movement will be extended to become a long-term bullish movement. Okay, but meanwhile, as usual, let's take it step by step. We are still inside this like channel, and if you want, you can even delete this one, make an offset for this. That's it. Okay, and here we go. Let me fix it. That's it. If you break it upward, we're expecting a bullish movement. As you can see, I have my alert here in case we drop lower. Yeah, I previously had my alert here as well, but like it went off. Let me re-add it. Okay, because we had the wick here. And so now if you trade higher, H4 candle close, we'll be expecting this. If you trade lower, I'll be looking for bust stops from a short-term perspective, just like what we did here. Of course, we zoom in and we try to catch this bullish movement, and then we'll be waiting for this bullish movement. Okay, that's basically it for NWC. Let me check the comments before we move forward. Victor, hope you're doing good. Okay, okay, fantastic. Let's move forward and cover as many as possible. For now, I'll cover the previous ones, and then I'll go over the second phase of our session. So for support and resistance practical examples, BNB, XRP, RVN, and OP. Okay, and then I'll try to cover as many as possible. So if you want me to go over a specific altcoin, feel free to request it. Like in the comment section if you are watching on YouTube or like anywhere in the chat, whatever application that you are using. So for Joseph, he requested this one like a couple of weeks ago, and like since then it is now in our watch list. It's called Galatasaray fan token. So let's go over Galatasaray. So you've got multiple A's. So you've got Galatasa. Wow, right? So many A's for like a single word. If you zoom into like the daily time frame, you can see like these drawings were from last week. So we haven't updated yet. So like let's do it together. We have been approaching the lower bound. That's our channel, our range. For the green zones, we are currently retesting this area. That's why we'll be looking for bust stops, because price can still trade lower inside it before we trade higher. That's why we always wait for the bulls to take over by breaking above the last major high, and this is our high right here. So we were here last week. That's why this one started from here. So for now, let's delete it, and we want from here, for example, to trade higher. If this happens, then the bulls will take over from a short-term perspective. We'll be expecting bullish movements, and then later on we'll get this one from a medium-term perspective, and then from a long-term perspective. That's basically it. If you are inside this zone, of course, we're updating our analysis. We'll be waiting, for example, for this, and then a break above it. But for now, we are waiting for this major high that we saw from H4. Okay, seed for Mac, like of course like this is a stock and that's not a crypto instrument, but like since like the dear boss Mac requested it, I added it to the list and then I kept it on my list. Anyway, let's update it like very quickly because we don't really have much to say. We are currently around. Here we go. We are currently rejecting this demand zone, forming a giant inverse head and shoulders pattern for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective. We are still waiting for this break. That's why my alert is still here around the 14. If you break it up, we will be expecting further bullish movement. For now, we are bullish from a short-term perspective, trading inside this rising channel. And since we are around the lower trend line, we'll be looking for this buy, just like what happened exactly here. Impulse started, impulse while waiting for it to start. We are currently in a correction, waiting for the bulls to take over. From daily time frame, like these are the drawings from last week. So I'll be waiting for this, for example, to form a new swing high and then break above it to expect a bullish movement. Okay, don't really have much to say for seed. Okay, so like Victor Solomo from YouTube, thanks to all of the way you express your ideas. I'm happy to see you here, Victor. Okay, so BNB. Okay, let's take an example of a support and resistance, right? Because that's our next or second phase of this session. First of all, start by drawing the support and resistance from weekly time frame. Okay, it's very, very important. The best time frame that you should start with in crypto is weekly. Okay, and then weekly to get a big picture, and then daily time frame. Okay, to get a zoomed in picture, and then like it depends on your style. You can stick to daily and buy and sell like from previous high, previous low. So for example, here from daily time frame, I can simply stick to it. I don't need to zoom into lower time frames. That's a major high, waiting for a break above it. That's a major high, broken upward, traded higher, major low, breaking downward, traded lower, blah blah blah. Right, low, breaking downward, traded lower, and so on. Okay, so it depends on your time on and so on, and then your expectations and your okay. It depends on you if you like to zoom into lower time frames or not. But the weekly time frame is the one that you should keep an eye on. You start with to draw your support and resistance to know where you currently are in the market, because you don't really want to be buying around a previous major high, or like you don't want to be selling around a very strong demand or around a support. Okay, so that's basically it, and you can clearly see from like BNB weekly time frame that we've got our like support and resistance already. We've got multiple rejections from this one. That's a massive support and resistance indeed. So for the boost to take over and to be able to push higher, of course we need to see a break above it, and this is the one around 200 round number. We've got multiple rejections from it. That's a support. So if the bears will remain in control, we need to see a break below it. We can see it even better from daily time frame, and like I added like these arrows for you to see it better. Okay, so inside this, like these two green ones from weekly, we have also a short-term one from daily time frame. You can clearly see it, multiple rejections from this one. Okay, let's delete it. And now, like once you know where you are in the market, you know what to look for, right? So as we approach this area, this resistance, I'll be looking for sell setups. When we approach this support, I'll be looking for buy stops, because this is where I have an edge. Okay, I don't have an edge to buy here, but this is my support. I have an edge to buy around the support. Okay, for example, I don't have an edge to buy here, but I have an edge to buy here, of course, unless the support is broken downward and so on. So I'll be looking to buy around this area. Unless it's broken downward, it would become a resistance and so on. Okay, if you zoom into to daily time, to H4 time frame, like just like many altcoins and entire crypto markets, really. Okay, so sorry about that. Recently broke above the previous major high, and we'll see it like on many altcoins that we broke above a major high from H4 time frame. So now we are in this bullish trend. We had a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. We had our impulse correction. We are currently in the second impulse. We might still make one more correction before we trade higher from here. Okay, so that's it as the first example for BNB. Let's now go and check like XRP. Look at how clean XRP weekly chart is, right? So in fact, these are the only support and resistance that you can draw. Okay, of course on weekly time frame. Okay, if you check it out, okay, and like for example, try to add this one. Okay, it's not a support and resistance. Price isn't expecting it at all. So these are the only support and resistance. I'm talking about these three here. Okay, so 1, 0.5, and 0.1 to 0.2. First, we've got our support, multiple rejections from this area. That's why it's a massive support. Of course, if price stays lower from here, I'll be looking for buy stops big time. Okay, if we ever trade lower to 0.3 to 0.2. For now, we are around a massive support and resistance. We've got our rejection twice, resistance again, multiple times, broken upward, now acting as support. So look at how clean this one was from weekly time frame. Next, rejected it again, and then broken downward, and now it's acting as a resistance zone. Okay, so now we're expecting what? Just like here, broken downward, retest, rejection, trade lower. So now if we trade lower from here, we'll be forming a new or last swing high around this trend line, which is also a non-horizontal support and resistance in this particular case. So like one possible scenario would be to trade lower, form a new high here, and then break it upward for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective. And here we go. Okay, this is first. Second, if we have a big weekly candle close above this one, you're expecting what? An explosive movement upward, at least to the 1.1, which is our next resistance. And if you follow the same logic, which happened here, we've got wicks, rejection, and then a weekly candle closed above this area, and then look at this. All right, so this is what we're expecting if and only if we break above this one from weekly time frame, because this is definitely a massive resistance zone, especially the 0.6. Okay. If you go to daily time frame, okay, give me a sec. Okay. Okay, let me take a sip. Cheers. Okay. So if you go to daily time frame, we're rejecting a support and resistance, broken upward, now acting as what? A support. So if we trade lower, we'll be looking for what stops right here. And now we can still dive inside this resistance before we trade lower. Okay, so keep in mind that for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, we need to see a break above the 0.6. That's why you see like one of my alerts is around the 0.6. Okay. And of course, like I've got my alert here once we break 0.5, and I got my alert here. I'll show you why in a bit. And I got my alert here. If we trade lower till this area, I want to look for bust ups as well. Now, if you zoom into to H4 time frame, that's the second alert 0.5. And you know what? Let me show you now this alert right here. Here we go. That's our last low. So I would like to know when this low is being broken. In this case, we'll be expecting a short-term bearish movement. Okay. So before we check H1, let's go for H4. We know that we can draw this channel right here. Let's make it in orange. Okay, so as long as we are trading inside this channel, we would be bullish from a medium-term perspective. And from daily time frame, of course, we are bearish from a long-term perspective around the resistance and so on. If you go to H1 time frame, for those who remember previously, we had, or like last week, we had this channel broken upward, retest, and we are trading higher. Let's do this one to make it clean. That's it. And we even had one more correction and then broken upward as well. Let's make it in red. So bearish, impulse, bearish. We are currently in this impulse movement. So what you can do is, if we retest this area here, you'll be looking for this buy. So we'll be trading XRP. We are currently bullish, but we are slightly bullish, or like from a short-term perspective, as long as we are below 0.6. We want to see a break above it for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective. Okay, our next example for supply and resistance is, as you see, RVN. Also very clean one from weekly time frame. In fact, the 0.05 is a massive support and resistance. Let me check the chat. Okay, no new ones. Wow, Bukarik, we missed you, mate. We missed you. Hope you're doing good, mate. Okay, and we also got Jabs. No, fine. You can join anytime. Okay, while we are typing, let's move forward. On RVN, we've got this support and resistance here, support multiple times. Look at how clean this one is. The 0.05 is a massive resistance zone. So for the bulls to take over, simply what we want, we want a big weekly candle breaking above it. In this case, we'll be expecting what? A long-term bullish movement. It would signal a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. Meanwhile, we can still trade lower. That's our second support where we'll be looking for bar setups. Okay, that's the power of starting from higher time frames to draw your support and resistance to know where you currently are. Because, like, of course, you don't want to be buying here. Okay, because like you don't know where you are. That's why we start from weekly time frame first. So now we are retesting what? A demand zone right here, which you can see it. We got a minor one here previously. Okay, but price that didn't respect. We can see it better from lower time frames. We were looking for buy stops. I was personally waiting for this swing high to be broken up around this demand, but didn't happen. Instead, broken downward. So I deleted this one and deleted this one. Now that's our second demand zone. And as you can see from my alert right here, like that's still my last major high. Of course, you can also go for this one right here. Okay, so once broken up, we will be expecting a bullish movement. Meanwhile, you can still trade lower inside the demand. In this case, as you can see, I have my alert here. So I'll be looking for bust stops from a short-term perspective, like this, for example, this movement, when we get to the demand zone. Okay. Like last but not least, for our support and resistance from practical example. Okay, we've got OP optimism, and we can clearly see that this one is respecting the round numbers in terms of 0.5. So first 0.5, then we've got the 1, then we've got the 1.5, and then the 2. Okay. And we've got like this one as like floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, and 4. We are currently trading inside floor 1. That's our ceiling, and that's our floor. Which means what? As we approach the floor, we'll be looking for bar setups, just like here. Bar setups, and so on. Unless the floor is broken downward, then we'll be inside the second floor. Okay? We'll be looking for bar stops, sell setups, unless broken upward or downward. That's why it's very important to know in which floor you currently are. And we are currently in floor number 1. So that's our, sorry about this typing mistake, resistance zone. Okay, we're inside this below this resistance zone and above this support. As we approach this, we're looking for buy, and I don't want to be buying here. What I'll be buying is if we break it upward, then we're trading inside the second floor, just like this. If we have a big bullish daily candle close, it would signal the start of a bullish movement inside the second floor. This would be our next resistance, which would be also, as you can see, here and here as well. So, long story short, for OP, we are bearish, waiting for the bulls to take over by breaking above this, or meanwhile, we would be bearish, and if we trade till this lower area, we'll be looking for bar stops right here. Maybe we'll be drawing a channel or like any bullish reversal pattern. That's it. Okay, okay. Bukhari said just coming back from a very stressful journey. No. Okay, like fine. You're completely good. You're welcome here. Like anytime. Danny, hope you're doing good. You just joined as well. I just noticed. And Sonjak. Okay, I guess I said hello to everyone. And of course, we got also Ace. In case I didn't say hi. Hi, Ace. Okay, now let's move forward and go over a couple more, like more altcoins examples. If you want to go over a specific one, let me know in the comment section or in the chat, and I will be happy to do it. Okay, I just follow this list. Okay, so I go for them by order. I try my best to like go like till Lena. Okay, so these ones right here. If you want me to go over a specific one, let me know. Okay, so from last week, we were here. We were waiting for this break. Didn't happen, obviously. So let's move it aside. Daily time frame, that's it. Inside the range, or if you want inside this floor, that's our floor. That's our ceiling. Okay, while waiting for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective by breaking above this major high, and this also a resistance zone. If you zoom out, we can see it even better. That's a support, support, broken downward, now a resistance. If we break it upward, we'll be expecting a movement upward till where? Till the next resistance, which is the the 1.0, which is this one here. If we break it upward, we'll be expecting where? A movement till the 1.6, 1.7, which is, as you can see here, multiple rejections from this area. Okay. Anyway, for now, let's treat everything, keep it clean. Since we're around the lower band, around the floor, we'll be looking for buy stops also from a short-term perspective, from H4, for example, and this is our last major high. Of course, we also got a minor one right here, but personally, I would like to stick to the upper major one. Okay, on Matic. Okay, so like this was from last week. If we break this one upward, we'll be expecting a bullish movement, and as you can see, the break happened here. We are trading higher. Now we are currently around the upper trend line. We've got two possible scenarios here. The first one is if we reject it to form one last swing or 1/3 swing around it. In this case, this one would become the last major high and would be buying on spike upward. And or if we reject this one while breaking below this low, which we'll see better from H1, here we go, this low right here. If you break it downward, we'll be expecting this to happen, right? A major high to form right there. Or if we break this one upward like this trend line would no longer be valid, and on its retest also would be looking for this buy. It would be an impulse, correction, and then impulse again. Okay, that's my trading plan for Matic. Like for now, we are currently holding a short-term buy, and we'll keep on holding it until or unless we break below this low. Okay, on ETC. Okay, Joseph, I went over NWC at the start. Okay, so like anyway, if you want, I'll go over it now, like very quickly. Okay, on ETC, we are also retesting a massive support demand rejection zone, and also a round number. So round number 1, demand zone, 2, lower trend line, 3, and the support and resistance. So this is how massive the 25 is. Round number, demand, support, and lower trend line in orange. Anyway, let me delete them to keep it clean. Okay, so this zone here is a massive one. As we approach it, we'll be looking for buy stops on lower time frames. And if you go to H4, that's our last major high. Of course, you can go for a minor one right here, but it all depends on you, on like how conservative you are. If you want to trade here or wait for this one, or you can go for like quarter the intended risk and then quarter here, or like half here, and then you can add the remaining half right there. Okay, anyway, it depends on you, on like how you'd like to manage your trade, but this 25 zone is a massive support zone. On XLM, we're still waiting for this to happen, for this break above this neckline. We are around the 0.1, which is a round number, a demand zone as well, and support and resistance. So also 3 things: round number, demand zone, and also a support and resistance. Okay, this shouldn't appear on weekly. Let's remove it. Here we go. On daily time frame, that's it. That's our next resistance. Why? Because if you zoom out to weekly, here we go. Okay, multiple rejections from it. Support zone, resistance, support, and so on. So if we trade higher, this would be a resistance that will need a break above it for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective. Of course, next we've got this 0.4, which is support and resistance as well. But anyway, we're still here, right? So let's take it step by step. Meanwhile, we can dive inside the demand till the 0.75 before we trade higher. That's why while waiting for the bulls to take over, of course, the bulls took over from a short-term perspective inside the zone, but this is just a range, so we might still trade higher rejected before we break upward. I still have my alert right here. I am waiting for a break above this entire zone. Okay. On Algo, a very similar movement, just like XLM, waiting for a break above this range. On CRV, also okay, testing this demand zone, looking for buy setups. This is a resistance, so for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, I would like to see a break above this support and resistance. Right now, I can the resistance, so above 2. In this case, we'll be extracting this movement. For now, we are, of course, bearish around the resistance, but we are trying to catch this short-term bullish movement. If we break it lower, then we'll be expecting this movement till the 0.5 again. But for now, we're around the minus support zone, looking for buy setups on lower time frames, and we're waiting for this last major high, as you clearly see. Okay, on Reef, we previously had this bullish movement. Okay, this one is already done. Let's take it to keep the chart clean. And then we rejected this trend line in red, as you see here. So for on Reef, for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, we still need to see a break above this right here, above the trend line, this high and this low. In this case, we'll be expecting a long-term bullish movement. For now, we are still inside this range right here. And if you want, I can even make it a little bit higher, extend it like this, and extend this one right like this, make this one in gray. This is how you make your chart clean. That's it. We previously broke above this minor one. Let's delete it, delete everything to keep it clean. Now we've got what? This one as our demand zone. So if we retest it, of course, we'll be looking for buy setups. Okay, here we go. This is what I'm waiting for from a short-term perspective. On block, we've got this one. I don't know what this one. Okay, so we broke above this minor high from a short-term perspective. We traded higher as mentioned last week. So this one is already done. We already traded higher. To take over from a long-term perspective, we still need to see a break above 0.0036. Here we go. This area right here. So it will take over from a long-term perspective. Meanwhile, if we trade lower, we'll be looking for buy setups. On Lena, this is the drawing from last week. Still waiting for these to happen. That's it. Medium term taking over, long term taking over, and from a short term perspective, the bulls already took over by breaking above this high and even this high right here. Okay, so we're already bullish from a short term perspective, but we are still waiting for the long term view right here. Okay. Okay. Wow, fantastic. We went over all of these. Okay, let me go over like a couple of like ones that I'm keeping an eye on. Like I'll still go over maybe Link, Atom, and also Near. Near is a good one as well. So I'll go over these three, and that would be it. If you want me to go over a specific one, let me know. Okay, okay, DJ Tell, we have it here. Let's do it. Telcoin. That's it. Okay, on Tel, I'm still waiting for a break above this last major high right here. Okay, if we trade lower to 0.001, of course, we'll be looking for buy stops. It's a massive. Oops, we can't really see anything because like of this aggressive movement. So the 0.001 is a massive demand and round number where we'll be looking for buy setups, right? And we are still bearish as long as we are trading inside this channel. I was waiting for something like this to happen, didn't happen. We are still bearish. Let's delete this one, annoying already, and let's move this one aside like this. I'm still waiting for something to happen here. You can even make a short-term term channel like this. Okay, so still waiting for the bulls to take over. This is short-term, of course, and then medium-term. I'm waiting for this break like right here. Okay, on Link, the exact same thing. We had a massive wedge pattern. We are currently stuck inside a consolidation here between 5 and 10. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, I want to break above the 10. In this case, we'll be expecting bullish movement on Link. Meanwhile, if we retest this area, we'll be looking for buy setups on lower time frames. That's it for Link. Okay, on Atom, we have been bullish, trading inside this rising broadening wedge. Our next support is the 10 and 8, as you can see in blue. Here we go. We've got multiple rejections from this area. If we test it, we'll be looking for buy stops. And from a long-term perspective, that's a massive support and resistance. Now price rejected it. So for those to take over from a long-term perspective, I want to see a break above the 20. Meanwhile, if we test the 10, I'll be looking for buy stops on lower time frames. And like we went over this one last week, if you remember, and I was waiting for something like this to happen. Didn't happen yet, so I'm still waiting for it. And the break above this neckline right here, which you can see better from H1, this area here. Okay, so like around 13.4. If we see this, you know what? This is annoying. Let's delete it. If we see this, then the bulls would take over and would be expecting a further bullish movement. Meanwhile, that's it. We are bearish and we can still trade lower like this. In this case, we'll be looking for buy stops around the 10. Okay. Last but not least, we've got near also a massive resistance zone. Previously rejected it here as well. But also take over from a long-term perspective. Yes, we've got it right. We want a break up of the 7. Once we have this break, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. For now, we are testing this support zone, so we'll be looking for this bullish movement. If you go to daily, we are currently also inside this range. We'll be expecting this bullish movement inside the range, just like previously, right here. Okay, but for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above the last major high, which in my opinion, or like which I highlighted as this area. Of course, you're going to get a little bit lower like this, but to me, I would like to wait for extra confirmation, which is this one. I already got my alert ready. When it's broken, I'll be buying near and we'll be speculating a bullish movement till this area or till this trend line, which you can draw from daily, which would be very similar to Matic. That's it. Okay, so we're expecting this movement, or if we trade lower, I'll be looking also for buy stops down there. Okay. Wow, we've got so many members. Crypto Lamp, Damien, hope you're doing good, mate. I'm happy to see you also here. And we also got, we also got Manot for real. Hope you're doing good. Jabs, I already said hi. Danny, Altul, Karik, DJ, Sonjak. Do you have any questions? Let me know. If not, that would be it for today. And I'll see you hopefully next time. Mac, of course, I want to take like a moment to thank Mac for his effort today. Like he's streaming like the session on YouTube, Telegram, and many more platforms. So thank you so much for taking it to the next level. Okay, so Joseph Ace, I'm happy to see you. Happy guys. Okay, Danny, you're more than welcome. Damien as well. I'm happy to see you here. Okay. DJ, you are more than welcome, mate. Okay, so like this would be it for tonight. Of course, like I guess like there will be giveaways as usual at the end of each session. So stay tuned and keep an eye on this like thread. And I see you hopefully next time, next week, same day, same time. So be ready. Okay. Best of luck, everyone, and we're wishing you a lovely night.